Hello and welcome to She the People Small Screen Fest powered by Colors. Through this festival, it is our endeavor to trace how the small screen is changing. The pandemic has forced us to fall in love with the small screen yet again. With OTT, not just the idiot box, but we consume content on our handheld devices, our laptops, or while on the go. Even if the way we consume our content has changed, has the content really changed? Has OTT been able to create space for content which feels more real? This and much more is what we talk about in this panel. Ye Reality Hai. Is reality the new plot? We have with us actor Geetanjali Kulkarni, who was recently seen in the show Unpause Naya Safar, where she plays Anjali Waghmare. Geetanjali Kulkarni, I welcome you to She the People. My first question to you, Geetanjali, is how did it feel to shoot for a show which is based on the pandemic? Is it too real to live this reality on screen?
See, for I think last 2-3 years, we are going through a phase which we never expected in our life. And it has been very challenging for everybody, especially people who are working as frontline workers, who are into, volunteering and, helping people. So I think when I was when I was selected for this story as an actor in playing Sangeeta Waghmare for War Room, I was very happy because we need to tell these stories and we need to sensitize with situations, especially people who are volunteering, especially people who are frontline workers. It's very easy for me to sit at home, and watch cinema and, eat and, do my regular work. But for these people, especially, it was very difficult. And I feel we all are going through a different phase, and we are all having difficulties and facing different situations every time we adapt to something, and suddenly that also changes again. We are locked. There is a lockdown. You have to sit at home. So yeah, but at the same time, people who are at high risk jobs and who are voluntarily doing high risk jobs also, we have to tell their stories and we have to be part of it. At least as an actor only I can do that much. Basically, Sangeeta Waghmare is a teacher. She's teaching in a government school, and she's volunteering for this war room, and taking calls of patients and giving them information about beds and ambulance service and oxygen cylinders and everything. So like we have seen on TV, we have seen on social media that how war rooms were working in 24 hours in all the cities. So she's one of them. But at the same time, every war room volunteer or doctors or nurses, they had their personal life also going on at that time. Not that they were only working for others, they had challenges in their own life, and how they were handling that, or what was happening to them. Was there a loss of somebody very special to them? Was there grief in them? Were they identifying with patients with their situation? What was their relation with all the patients who were calling, or relatives who were calling? What was all going on, and what was the dynamics of the situation? So this is what the story is about. And Sangeeta Waghmare is a very a normal common person, which we see every day. I've seen so many teachers in my life. I work in a village. I've been in contact with a lot of teachers who work in government schools and who go out of their way to help children, to make their school a better place. And they do so much. And we always say government teachers are like that only. It's so easy for us to say that. But I've seen teachers going out of their way and working for children. They do extra classes. They do help children, so that they get more exposure, more awareness. Because children, especially in villages and rural area, they come from very different kind of background. So I really feel for teachers, and I really feel for people who work in social sector. And I've seen my friends, and they really work hard, and we cannot even imagine what kind of sacrifices they have done in their life. So I thought that this is my chance, and as an opportunity as a creative person, to tell a story of a person like this, who has that kind of spirit, who is going, who Sangeeta Waghmare is going out of her way to do something, but at the same time, she has her own challenges. She has her own difficult periods and times that what she's going through.
Geetanjali, my second question to you is how you have been often seen playing real characters, from the lawyer in the film Court or in Sir, and now in War Room as well. How do you keep these characters so real? What is the process?
I've been married for 25 years, and before that also, in my household, that we were supposed to do everything. So not just me, even my father used to do everything, my brother used to do everything, now even my husband does everything. So we do all the work at home. So like every middle class family, we are supposed to do all these work. So it's not something which is very alien to me, that I've not cooked. And first time when I was shooting for Court, I was cooking. So that was the first time I was going to the Court. Yes. So that was something which I had not visited. I had not seen a Court in my life. So that was something which was challenging. For traveling in a train, working in kitchen is very normal to me. So I don't have to do research for that kind of work. But yes, I have to research when I go to a courtroom, and how the proceedings go, what is the dynamics between the judge and the investigation officer, and between a public prosecutor and defense lawyer, and what is the vocabulary, what are the jargons they use, So I had to work on that. But daily chores to hum mummiyon ko dekhte hain, khud karte hain. So yeah, that is something.
Geetanjali, would you like to tell us the women who have really inspired and influenced you? And also, how has the small screen played a role in your life?
When I was small, when I used to see Doordarshan, I have seen strong characters. I have seen Smita Patil, I have seen Shabana Azmi. I have seen many Marathi actors, who have Bhakti Barve. On stage, I've seen Neena Kulkarni, Bhakti Barve, Vandana. So I've seen all women actors who were so good, who were so strong. So I've never felt this way, Then even when I was watching TV serials, Priya Tendulkar or Kavita, I'm forgetting the actor who played Udan, the inspector in Udan. So I've always seen good things, and I think I grew up watching art house cinema, Satyajit Ray's cinema, Govind Nilani's cinema, Tamas I had seen, Bharat Ek Khoj, all these films. So I never felt that I have not seen strong women characters at all.
Thank you, Geetanjali Kulkarni, for joining us. We move on to our next segment. In this segment, we talk to actor Sikander Kher, who played Daulat in the popular show Aarya. Welcome, Sikandar, to Small Screen Fest. Congratulations on the success of Aarya. And, my first question is about Aarya. So with Aarya, we see like this change in, women first stories that are coming out. So how do you read this change in terms of content that we have seen in the recent past?
Yeah, I've never really thought of anything to do with gender. I think I think a story, if a story is told well, then gender really doesn't matter, the lead could be anything. It's always the story, it's always how the story is told, the way it's going to be told. So yes, we do talk about gender, etc. But as we're moving on, things are progressing, and I think it's taking its natural time to do so. It's not something that was bad before or good right now or anything like that. It's just that it's cool that it's cool that something like that. It's just really good that there's something that has been successful that now you guys are seeing it. Successful things will be successful. In that way, it'll be good for all the entire cast. I mean, like you see Wonder Woman, you have Gal Gadot as the lead, right? But you still have Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise is the lead. So then you have many films which have male leads, and those are really bad films also. Then you have somebody like a Meryl Streep, who's one of my favorite actors. So I think good stuff gets its visibility, but the point is how you're telling the story. And I've never ever thought that, oh, this is great that women are getting it, because for where I come from, my mother's a very strong person. She always has been, and I look at it as just absolutely how life is. No, it should have. It should. It's like that only. It's
Right.
normal. Yeah.
Right. It's great because that you consider it normal, because a lot of people we talk to often do not, I mean, probably not see this. Anyway, so my second question is, about Daulat. In Daulat, you see this like unwavering devotion for a person. If you come face to face a person like that in real life, what would you tell them?
See, I know Daulat very well. I uh, I know what you're talking about, that loyalty. I myself, as a person, I'm an extremely loyal person. If I come across them, if I come across somebody like that, I'll probably tell them it's amazing to be really, really loyal. It's a good thing. But sometimes if you're completely loyal to somebody, that there are many reasons that could be there for that kind of loyalty. You can be prone to getting hurt at some points in life if you just have. That's about it, because you're giving so much of yourself to that. It can
Right.
blind you. It can blind you sometimes, and you could be open and vulnerable to hurt. Well, that's what I would tell somebody. But otherwise, being loyal is such a great quality. It's a good quality. It shows strength, and it really shows your mettle.
Right. So, how do you read the OTT? Do you think the OTT has challenged the idea of stardom? Like everybody is a star when it comes to OTT.
No, everybody can never be a star. That's why there are such few. So I think stars are stars. There's nothing is being challenged over here. It's all great. I just think that what's happening is that you're getting to see more talent. You're getting to see more work. So you're getting to see stuff. It's given. It's just basically given employment, and it's given employment in abundance. And it's like I've mentioned before in other interviews, that it's like the IPL. IPL, when it came, we've gotten to see so many more sportsmen who are cricketers, and it's helped our team. And in the same way, it's only going to help storytelling, because it's not just actors, it's directors, it's writers, it's all the technicians, the entire crew, people who do music, sound. I mean, it's across the board. So it's only such a great progressive thing, and it's only helping. So I don't see it challenging anything. I see it only helping everything.
In this next segment of the show, we go to Roshmila Bhattacharya, a journalist who has over 3 decades of experience on working with the entertainment industry. She is also the author of several books. Roshmila Bhattacharya, I welcome you to She the People Small Screen Fest. So I'll begin by asking you, in terms of how we see on our screen the depiction of reality. Do you think it has changed in when we are talking first all about violence, about depiction of love, relationship, physical intimacy?
So I feel that when you're talking of the small screen, then let's start with television rather than OTT, because that's the small screen that we had. And when it came to relationships, I think a serial like Saas was well ahead of its time. Neena Gupta's Saas, which talks about a married woman in a relationship. And today Gehrai is talking about the same thing. Of course, she's not married in this case, but she is in a relationship, and it's about extramarital relationships. Now what has happened is that OTT has made, I mean, once upon a time when SARS used to play, then it was seen as an adult serial. I mean, only the adults would sit down to watch it, they would discuss it. But today OTT has kind of diminished the barriers between A and UA and so literally I can chat about, say, Gerai with my daughter and not feel the same inhibitions. I think that's where the change has come as far as OTT is concerned. I feel very soon the censor board, the ratings will have to go, because it will have to be in terms of age.
because OTT has brought all kinds of content into our homes, and because it's easily available on the phone, and because the phone is in everyone's hand, whether the child is 5 or whether it's somebody who's 95, they all, if they are capable of using it, they can all view this content. So that's where OTT has made these. So today, when you talk about relationships, when you see a trailer of a Gehrai, I'm talking of Gehrai because it's just released. So
Yeah.
then you don't there are no oh my god, what's happening kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When you're talking, of course, violence, I would feel is we are becoming desensitized to violence. So violence, if you, I mean, whether it's OTT or any other platform, I feel if you're going to be very gory about the violence, if you're going to have guns blazing all through whatever 2 hours, 20 minutes, whatever it is, it's not going to impact anyone. So the best way to show violence is not to show it, to just imply it. I think that's the best way. Like if you remember the scene in Sholay, the famous Sholay scene, where Gabbar cuts off Thakur's hand, you actually don't see any blood or gore or anything. You just know,
Yeah,
and
but
that makes it more, more. You remember it all that
impactful.
while. So that's the difference I feel.
So, in terms of intimate scenes, do you feel that in Indian content we are able to um, they follow seamlessly, or do you think sometimes it is to get the shock value or get the eyeballs that a lot of it is force fitted?
I would agree with the latter, because I feel that despite all our intimacy directors, the fact that we have, there is an inbuilt inhibition within us, which has to go before anything else. So I feel we are still a little leery about, intimacy on screen. We are thinking about our families, even when we are watching it. I mean, when you watch a Bond movie, you don't when you see a kiss or you see Bond in bed with somebody, you just take it, it just it's part of the storytelling. But if you see Shah Rukh Khan in bed with somebody, you would say, oh my god, what has he done, why is he doing this? So that's the difference. And I think it's a matter of time. I feel OTT is again sensitizing us about all this. I think the fact that we are, when we are watching Korean content or Spanish content or Hollywood content, we are beginning to realize that this is part of storytelling. It's not. So I feel also that the scripts also should be it should be woven into the scripts. It shouldn't be forced into the scripts. That's very, very important. And I feel a lot of OTT content is just for shock value, because there are no censors here. So you want to just do what you want to, and
Right.
I feel that puts off a lot of our Indian viewers. I mean, even if it comes to something as simple as abusive language, you can take it once, you can take the F word once, twice, but if it's going to be littering through the series, you're a little uncomfortable. So it depends on whether you're watching a Tarantino or you're watching a Hindi movie. So and that's the mindset that you sit down with when you're watching stuff.
So you're saying that it's more the audience which needs to mature and come to a level where they are okay. Indian characters, Indian stories, where playing these things than the content that is actually being played out on screen.
I feel our Indian audience is maturing. They have matured to a great extent. But I feel the reason where I feel the lack is in our scripts. I feel the script writers need to work these scenes better into the story so it doesn't stand out. If you are going to show something very controversial, you have to make it a part of the storytelling. You should not start out by trying to shock people. There's a series called Four More Shots Please. It's about women, become very
Oh,
popular. Yeah. And they have gone and shown all kinds of stuff, and the fact that people are watching it, they're liking it, is, I feel, a triumph of the storytelling. Right from lesbianism to extramarital affairs to everything. They've kind of shown everything, but they've shown it in a in a lighter vein. In 20 minutes, they have about one or two scenes like that, but there's also a lot of storytelling in it, and that is exactly what I mean when I say that the scripts have to be better written. It shouldn't stand out, it shouldn't jar. It These scenes shouldn't be used just for the idea of shocking people, titillating people, provoking people. And this is very important because today, as I said, because of the cell phone, this content is
Is available.
accessible to the lot of people, right uh, from people like the elite and the middle class to the lower classes. So when you're showing something, you should be very careful that it's not used to titillate them into doing something further.
Yeah, so two questions. One that obviously comes to mind first is, a lot of our series are actually getting adapted from successful series abroad in Europe. So, a lot of which we are discussing currently right now, in terms of intimate scene or violence, are part of their storytelling, and it those things are actually taking the story ahead. But in an Indian context, do you think then these should be, these should be censored?
So I feel that when it comes to OTT, as you say, as I said, it's a mixed audience. So there
Mm,
is no censorship as such. Again, suppose it was a show which is adapted. It's a English show which is talking about marriage or relationship or infidelity. You have to be very sure about which audience you are targeting. You can't be targeting a 6 year old, a 16-year old, a 60-year old, a 30-year old. You have to be very sure this is the audience I'm targeting, and adapt it accordingly. So if it's a money heist, you can target any kind of audience. Money heist also has it's a certain amount of violence, it has a certain amount of
mm,
intimacy, but it's done in such a way, the writing is so fast, the editing is so fast, that it just passes you by. You don't really sit and dwell on it, you're dwelling on how do they get away with the money. So that is what is essential. You should ensure that the audience doesn't dwell on a particular scene. They The whole theme, what you are trying to convey, the story should come out, rather than a scene standing out in particular.
right. So another question here, during this pandemic, a lot of content that has come. Also, there has been, I mean, if not lot, there has been significant content which actually talks about the experience of the pandemic, and as we are moving out of it, we are seeing more of such content coming. So how do you think, something that is a reality that hits home, how much has our audiences matured to take such content?
I feel this is my personal opinion that when stuff comes out about the pandemic, it will have more impact maybe a couple of years down the line, when we would have put the pandemic behind us. Right now it's still a part of our lives. So if I do watch something, I don't want to be reminded that, look, I was caught in this situation, or look, I was jobless at this point, but
Yeah.
3 years or 4 years down the line, when I can roam freely, when I have a job, when I can travel the world, when I look back on this, I will say, oh, this happened to me. I will talk to, say, somebody who didn't experience this and say, in Mumbai, this happened to us, and, we were locked up for so
Mm,
many days and whatever, whatever. So I feel what they are doing is kind of documenting the whole experience for posterity. So maybe 20 years down the line, when the pandemic is just a nightmare, we can show these same things to the other generation, the next generation, and say, look, we went through this. So this is what I feel our filmmakers are doing at the moment. They are documenting the whole experience.
Yeah. So my final question to you is, in this pandemic, the way we consume content has completely changed. As we are again, there's a certain charm about going back to the big screen, watching a movie. That entire that it's an event. It's a thing you do. So where do you see that the popularity of small screen is going to diminish, or do you think it is going to retain the same place that it has already created in our hearts during the pandemic?
I think both are going to coexist, the big screen and the small screen, the way they have been coexisting for a very long time. Today, we keep talking about OTT because we've seen a lot of OTT, but television came sometime back in the 70s and it didn't end the cinema culture. The big screen uh, thing remained. As we have been doing for the last, say, so many decades, we will still take a call on what to go. When you talk about the theater experience, I will say, okay, this is the film I want to go to the theaters. This is the film I want to spend 500 rupees on a ticket. This is the film I want to buy popcorn and watch. This is the film I want to go out and maybe go for a dinner. But this is a film which I will wait for it to come on OTT. And now, you know, after all this thing, you get to see a film on OTT in maybe 3 weeks time. So 3 weeks later, I will get to see the same film on OTT. This is what I see about films. I also see that a lot of filmmakers will continue to make films for OTT. They will not make films for theaters. They will make it in a smaller budget for an OTT audience specifically. So you'll get to see many more, like when it comes to intimacy and violence, you'll see a little bit more, in these films, because now they know they have an assured audience. When I say assured audience, then if I am traveling to work 1.5 hours, what am I going to do in that time? When I'm sitting in the bus or a car or a train, I am going to go and watch my favorite thriller, maybe a couple of episodes, go back, work while coming back home. So it's very much, OTT is going to be very much a part of our lives, like television has been. And I think, and I feel that movie, here the filmmakers will have a little bit more challenge. They will have to decide, this film has the production values. So this is a project I'm going to make for theater and ensure that I pull people to the theater. But this is a film which is going to be seen for its story. So maybe this I can make for OTT. I'm not saying that the budget will be any less if it's for OTT, but the audience will be very different. So that's going to be the thing. But both will coexist. The small screen is not going to go away.
Go
The big
away.
screen is not going to go away.
Thank you all for joining us today.